looks like, but I just feel like it's not good. Hello everyone and welcome back to Foster the Meeple, a channel all about
board games
and
board gamey things.
Exactly. My name is Jamie.
And I'm Jeff.
And we're here today to do another overview and review. And today's overview and review is on Red Rising from Stonemaier Games, which was designed by
Jamie Stonemaier
and Alexander Schmidt.
Boom.
Boom. This copy of the game was sent to us for review by Stonemaier, so thank you to Stonemaier for supplying us with this game. I just realized we probably should have been like Red Rising and have it rising, but you know, we're not that fancy. We're going to start off with an overview of the game and then we're going to go into our review. So what is Red Rising about?
Enter the futuristic universe of Red Rising, based on the book series by Pierce Brown, featuring a dystopian society divided into 14 castes, where you represent a house attempting to rise to power as you piece together an assortment of followers. Will you break the chains of the society or embrace the dominance of the golds?
Ooh la la. So Red Rising is a board game based on a book series by Pierce Brown, which is called Red Rising. I don't know how many books are in the series at this point, but last time I checked there was 3, but I think he's added more. And I'm currently reading the first book.
I have not read these.
It's going to take me a very long time to finish it because I keep getting distracted by board games and board gamey things.
Yeah, exactly.
So this is a hand management game where the main goal is you're trying to get as many points at the end of the game as possible by collecting potentially sets of cards or games that have end game triggers.
Very point salad-y.
Definitely, you're just really trying to get the best kind of combos to make sure that you have the most points at the end of the game. There are 3 different ways to end the game. One is by having 7 helium, one is by having 7 markers in the Institute, or 7 on the fleet track. As soon as those 3 things happen, the game ends and you count your points. So each card has a set of victory points on it at the top, and then on the bottom there's additional victory points that you can get based on a few different things, like different cards that you might have in your hand. So we're not gonna go into a full like how to play or anything, but I will make sure to link some videos down below of people who have done full tutorials and playthroughs if you're interested in learning how to actually play the game.
You are going to see a cat
without fail
sometime soon, I think.
I can hear the jingles.
Yeah.
That is Red Rising kind of in a nutshell. Let's go into our actual review, starting with the theme.
Yeah, I'll go quick because I haven't read the book. I don't know anything about this theme other than what seems like some different factions of character types and very kind of space theme.
So the theme is something has happened to Earth and the people are going up to Mars. I believe that it's Mars to make it livable, hospitable, to make it livable. And there's different factions in each faction.
What is the word?
So there are different color factions and each faction has a different type of job. So red, as an example, are the laborers, orange are the engineers, gold, I think, are like the elites, white are like judges and counselors, and purple are the artists, that kind of thing.
Is that all from the book?
Yes.
Yeah.
Each faction has a different role to play, and once again, without having read the book, it is obviously set in space, but I believe that red, the faction, is rising, trying to overthrow power.
Oh, that's cool.
So the main character of the book is Darrow, who's on the back of the box here, and he is a laborer, and basically they're the ones that are sent down who are drilling into the earth. It's a dystopian...
Yeah, I would say it's a somewhat stereotypical dystopian-esque narrative then.
Set in space.
Yeah.
The theme is something that I love. I love dystopians. We like the space theme. I don't think that this is an overly thematic game, with the exception of it's based on an IP. I don't know if it's based on a book. So that's the theme. The theme is the book. But the way you actually play the game is not, it's not like a thematic game. It's a very mechanics heavy type of game.
Yeah, for sure.
Would you agree?
Yeah.
But with that being said, I love the theme because I think dystopian worlds are very, very cool. And obviously we're into space. So
yeah, I mean, if I had read the books, or I would buy into this way more from a theme standpoint. You could slap any sort of other dystopian or theme onto this and still
definitely it would not change the way it plays, except for maybe instead of like collecting helium, maybe collecting balloons.
The resources might change or something.
That's the theme. Moving into the components, and
there's the cat. Come here, you butthead. Say hi to the people.
Your butt out of the camera, you weirdo.
Why do you always do this when we're filming? You only ever come out when we're filming.
Toby's here.
Huh?
Big floof. Okay, so I'm gonna actually open up the box. We did get the collector's edition. So what you're going to see here is what comes in the collector's edition, which will be slightly different than what comes in the standard edition. First off, of course, everything's packed in here quite nicely with a nice plastic thing. Oh my gosh, I forgot the most important part. We have a very lovely rule book with some very high quality paper. Though this paper feels different, it's a little bit thinner. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh, really?
It's still quite high quality, but like feel it.
Oh yeah, I see what. No, I see. I can tell what you're saying.
It's not as thick and glossy,
Yeah.
but you do get a rule book, and then you also get the how to solo play rule book
cool.
about the.
I didn't know this had solo.
Automa. Yes, it does have solo. You can play this 1
I guess
to
that makes sense. Yeah.
6. 1 to 6 players. Next thing that you get is a player board. And the player board, literally everything that you need in the game with the exception of the cards in your hands, lives on the player board. And what I love about the player board is the artwork on the back. The artwork in this game is stunning.
Do you know what that reminds me of? That looks so much like Magic the Gathering.
Does it?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It's amazing. Like
yeah,
this,
definitely.
Just looking at the artwork makes me want to read the books even more. You do get a scorecard, which if you could look really closely, you'll see I have yet to lose this game. Good, solid scorecard.
Can I say quickly?
No.
This game, you score like 200 to 300 points at the end of the game, which is insane. Jamie beat me last time we played by 1 point. Like, with how many ways to score in this game and how many points you score, it is insane to me that you won by 1 point.
Sounds like a complaint.
Crazy. I'm not complaining.
One thing you'll probably notice, I'm already fiddling. Though the game does have like a game tray where everything has a place. I'll talk about this a little bit more in my critiques of the game. Nothing stays where it's supposed to, and it's very annoying.
The little resources don't.
They fly everywhere, so every time I'm like opening up this game, I'm having to put everything where it should be. Anyways, we'll talk about that in a bit. One of the first things that you get are in the collector's edition are these card trays where basically you set your cards in front of you like this. They are flimsy and pointless.
Yeah, we don't
use them because if you have more than 5 cards, you already can't see all of your cards.
Yeah, there's just not I think it was a good idea.
Sure.
Just
if they were a bit heavier, longer.
Yeah, a bit longer and heavier or something. They did what they could. It was a good idea. It just didn't deliver, I don't think.
Yeah. Then you get 1 dice, and the dice, it has a different image on each side, which is part of the gameplay. It's a dice. It's nice. You get a first player token, which is a metal crescent moon, which I also think is a nice little first player figure. Though the first player, whoop, I almost dropped it. The first player doesn't change throughout the game, so I don't know if you really need it. You get this sovereign token, which is something that you can win throughout the game back and forth.
Yeah, it just triggers a bonus for the player that has it.
And that's quite nice. So it's like a nice little, there's something stuck in it. Never noticed that before.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's just like a nice little metal token. Then you get 6 different player cubes and fleet trackers, which is basically a little ship, and the cubes are metal. You have gold, green, blue, purple, pink, and copper. I'll get into this once again in my critique. We'll get into this later. But it's very difficult to tell the difference between the gold and the copper, the pink and the purple, and the green and the blue. Just not enough variation of color. Not enough variation of color.
They're beautiful, though.
Yeah, they're like, I love the way they feel. I love the way they look.
Yeah.
It's just a little bit hard to differentiate them. Then it comes with this amazing like fox head tray. And inside of the tray are the helium tokens, which are like these little red gems, which we all know how I feel about gems.
Yep, Jamie loves gems.
Love them. And I just really like the way that they look in this tray.
Yeah, the tray is awesome. The little cover that gives it some aesthetic look. Yeah, it's really cool.
Then, oh boy, you get this huge enormous stack of character cards.
Which is the primary
part
of the game.
The game right here. And the character cards, they're all different. They're all unique characters. They have their name, their points at the top, what faction they belong to, so gold, elite, and then some other like flavor text, deploy actions, and end of game scoring on them. With the collector's edition, the gold cards have this amazing gold like foiling on them.
Yep, they're foiled.
The cards are my favorite part of this game.
The artwork on them is beautiful. The foil's beautiful.
And I love how like each faction works in similar ways, but each character does something slightly different.
Yeah.
So I assume that the cards are very, very thematic to the game and how like different characters play off of each other. Some cards you'll lose points if you have a certain character in your hand.
Yeah.
But the cards for me are fantastic quality. They're nice and hefty, so they're very easy to read, and they're just stunning.
Yeah, they've done an incredible job. Like the components from a pure like quality and production standpoint are incredible. Just some minor misses on a couple things.
Yeah. Each player will choose a faction or a planet, I guess, or one of these things, I forget what they're called, which shows you what your sovereign token trigger is. So if you are the Jupiter faction or the Jupiter house or whatever it is, every time you get the sovereign token, you get to move your little ship up one on the fleet tracker.
Yeah.
And they're just nice, chunky cardboard things that you just keep in front of you. Unique class
kind of triggers and
stuff.
Yeah.
And then something we love is a good reference card.
Yep.
Everybody gets their own reference card that has everything from setup to end of game to your turn order and iconography. This is what everybody should be doing. Agreed. It has everything that you need to know on these tiny little cards. I should have mentioned, which we didn't mention in the overview, but within this game, like there's literally only two things that you can do. You can lead and you can scout. Those are the only two actions that you can take. The last thing that comes in the box is just some solo cards. So the Automa cards and all that good stuff. So overall, like quality of everything is really great. Just with a few, like Jeff said, a few minor production issues.
Choices that
are a bit confusing.
Don't agree with.
Yeah. Everything fits nicely in here, except I know when I put this on and close the box and flip it over, it's all gonna fall over again.
Yeah, so this one lives on our shelf, kind of standing up next to us, not behind us. So it is it doesn't live like this. It lives like this.
Yeah.
So I can
hear it all going. Moving into rules, there are very few rules that you actually need to learn with this game. I did not read, I've read some of the rule book, but I learned this game by watching a video from Before You Play.
Yeah.
So that's how I learned. It's very simple to learn. There's only two things that you can do, and the biggest part of this game is reading the triggers on your cards and figuring out what has the best synergy in your hand.
The more you play this game, the more in tune you will get with what cards do what, who is what, because a lot of the cards will be like, if paired with this character, score an extra 20 points at the end.
Yeah. And I think I taught this to you
under 10 minutes.
Under 10 minutes.
And we just taught it to Jason
under 10 minutes. And this is a game that you just kind of like, you're just going to learn more as you play. So overall, not very rules heavy, but when we're now jumping into gameplay and replayability, definitely user-friendly to learn, but there is a lot of strategy in the actual gameplay.
Optimization of strategy and point getting would take some plays and some learning and stuff for sure. But to just get it to the table to play, super easy. You
saw the huge stack of cards. There are characters that you might not see.
Yeah, definitely.
Like, there's characters every game that we played so far where we're like, oh, that's a new character. Like, there's a lot of replayability with that. Gameplay, relatively quick. It says 45 to 60 minutes.
I would say it's more on the 45 side.
For 2 players, more on the 45 side, and especially the more that you know what you're actually
Even at 3, it
doing.
Wasn't that long.
That's true. Yeah. And like I mentioned before, there's only 2 things that you can do in this game. You can lead, which is where you're laying a card down on one of the 4 planet options or whatever it is, and then you pick a card up from another one, or you can scout, and you would literally only scout if you like the cards that you have in your hand. So at that point, you're just kind of throwing cards away so that you can keep the cards because you know this is my end of game goal. And then what about replayability?
I think the replayability is going to be dependent on your game group and whether or not you are interested in optimizing your strategy of this game, which I am. that's just the way my brain works. When I play something, I'm like, okay, how can I play it better next time? How can I play it better the next time? Now, there is some difficulty because you could have a strategy to start this game. You know, you might have a certain abundance of a faction in your hand, and those things might not come up because the cards that are going to be accessible to you are dependent on what is drawn at the beginning of the game to a large degree. You can pull off the top of the deck to get new cards. There is a limitation on how many cards are going to come out in a game.
Yeah.
I think from a replayability standpoint, that could be difficult because if you start seeing the same cards and you're not getting different strategies that you want to try, if that's not working, it might get frustrating, but...
Yeah, and we've played this at 2 players and 3 players, and it does not change the gameplay at all. Like, I don't prefer it at 2 versus 3. I don't know if
I didn't really... I just said it kind of depends on what other people are playing, which is true, but you're kind of playing your own game.
You are. Now, you could play in a way that you're like, if I notice that Jeff's really going for like the obsidian characters, then I might start laying my cards down on top of them so he can't get them, or I might try to be banishing them so he can't get those. So there could be a take that element of this game, but because we're still learning the strategies and the synergies, I'm not really focused on what he's doing at all. At this point, I'm only focused on what I'm doing, but I think the more we play this,
definitely,
the more
comfortable we get, the more take that is going to come into play.
Yeah. So overall gameplay, I think, is super fun. If you like more strategic games, that this isn't a table hog. It's I consider it to be relatively like a medium weight game. I would not rate this a 4. I would say maybe a 2.53 at the most. I really, really like this game. And I definitely want to keep playing this again and again and again to keep winning and perfecting my strategy. Yeah.
It's definitely something that'll get pulled out somewhat consistently.
I think so, for sure.
It's not going to be one we play every time we're doing a game.
But this is something that works really well for us because it plays really well at 2.
Yeah, so it does play really, really, really well too.
Moving into our critiques of the game. So my critiques of the game are mainly just component-wise. The collector's edition is not worth the extra money, in my opinion, because the things that you're getting, like the card stands, are flimsy and pointless. I don't know anybody that would play with those. The metal cubes are so similar in color. If we played with more than 3 people, like I would specifically try and play with 3 people. One who's either pink or purple, one who's either blue or green, and one who's either gold or copper. When we played with my brother, we played blue, green, and purple, and I kept moving the wrong things, and it was just way too confusing. So my main critique with this game is with those components. I
100% agree. The card holder thing. Wow.
It could blow away with a whistle.
That well-known phrase could blow away with a whistle.
I don't know why. I thought that was the right thing to say at that moment.
Blow away with a whistle. I'm never letting you forget that one. It was well-meaning and could have worked, but it just didn't. Too flimsy, not enough space for the cards that you can have in your hand. Because you have to read these cards significantly amount of times. So I was literally like, there's no point. I might as well just have these in my hand. Yeah. And to Jamie's point, the differentiation of color on the collector edition cubes are not drastic enough. They are beautiful. They're beautiful shades of color, and I love all of them independently, but they just needed to be darker shades. Of a difference between the different cubes would have made this a non-issue.
Even if it was like a darker blue and a lighter green. They just need more pigment, I think, is the biggest thing. Other critiques? I don't know that I really have any other critiques. Some people might find that, I mean, there's only 2 things. Really, throughout the 90% of the game, you're just doing the same action. So maybe some people might think, oh, there's not really a lot of variety in this. For me, I'm just all about, like, I just need to figure out what cards. The other critique, like you said, there may be some games where you're getting the same cards over and over again and you want a little bit more variety. Yeah,
I could see that. I could see where if people like asymmetry and a lot of different diverse mechanics and things like that, this might not be the game for you. But if you enjoy optimizing your strategy, this is definitely a game for you. So.
And there are some people who don't like that point salad type. Literally all you're doing in this game is you're trying to get more points. That is all you're doing. You're moving up the fleet tracker to get more points. You're getting helium cubes to get more points. You're putting cubes in the Institute to get more points. You're collecting cards to get more points. So it is very point salad-y.
Yeah, I mean, I would even say 80% of the game is the cards in your hand, and the 20% of the game is the points you can score on the board.
Yeah.
The cards severely outweigh the points you can score on the board. You can score significant points on the board. For example, you could score 20 on a fleet tracker. You could have a card in your hand that's worth 40, one card.
Yeah. For us, like in our last game, just through our cards, I had 205 points and Jeff had like 184. And we ended up with a 1 point difference. So that stuff can make a difference because he was higher on the fleet tracker. He had more helium cubes, but I had more in the Institute. So anyways.
It doesn't, I'm not saying that those things on the board don't matter.
No, but you're right.
But I'm saying the abundance of the game scoring, the abundance of the game, the majority of the game is in your hand.
You wouldn't mainly focus on like, oh, I need to make sure that I'm at the top of that. Or
I'm way more focused on making sure my cards trigger off of each other than I am to make sure I'm one further step than you on the fleet tracker or the Institute.
Yes. On to our final thoughts. Final thoughts for me is I really like this game.
I liked it way more than I thought I would.
The art in this game is so beautiful.
It is a beautiful game.
Cards, like sometimes I'll literally just look at the cards in my hand and I'm like, it makes me want to read the book even more. Yeah, it's beautiful. I find it fun. It is an excellent 2-player game, which, as you guys know, is something that Jeff and I are always really looking for. Yeah. Unfortunately, it's not small enough to travel with. Maybe on a road trip, but I mean, overall, I really like it.
Yeah, I agreed. I agreed.
I agree.
I
have agreed.
This game doesn't play a lot like some of...
We have nothing like this.
We've talked about this a few times, and I'm sure in the comments someone will be like, well, it's exactly like this game. And
actually, it is based off of another game.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, but we've never played that game, and
so
I can't remember
I'm gonna caveat this with, it's not like anything I've ever played to this day. So I'm sure there's lots of games that are like this. Don't blow me up in the comments. But as of right now, I haven't played anything really like this. So it's kind of unique, and I really enjoyed that. Again, I kind of wish I had read the books or know the characters, because I think then this would go even deeper. If I play a game like a Dune where I've read the book, I'm like, characters are coming up. I'm like, oh, nice.
Yeah.
Like,
which I knew some of these characters, like when Darrow came up, because he's the main character, I was like, oh, that's the main character.
Yeah, so I wish I had a little bit of context for that stuff, but even if you haven't read the books, it's a great game. If you've read the books, it's going to be even better for you. Yeah,
so this game was, and I don't think I mentioned that to you, this game was based off of one of Jamie Stegmaier's favorite games. The mechanics he really wanted to recreate with this theme, and I can't remember what that game is. I'll find it and I'll write it down. Oh, Jeff's gonna...
I'll look it up.
Google's the thing.
Fantasy Realms?
Fantasy Realms, yes. So it's based off of Fantasy Realms. I love this game.
Yeah, it's really good.
And I love the rainbow.
It's a really good 2-player game.
Look at this beautiful rainbow.
I think it would get chaotic at 6 players, but
you'd
have more
It'd be
cards
way more
coming out.
It would be more like, oh, like that's the card I wanted. Which
maybe that's a good point to make, actually.
Yeah, those are our thoughts on Red Rising from Stonemaier Games. Let us know down below if you have played this game and what you think of it. And we would love to know if you've read the books. I would also love to know.
Good stuff.
Good stuff. We really enjoy it.
Overall good stuff.
It's overall good stuff.
Yeah, I do
Blow
like
away with a whistle.
Yeah.
So if you are interested in buying Red Rising, do you know a great place that you could probably find it?
Your local board gaming store?
Your friendly local board gaming store. Local gaming store.
I always screw that up.
And ours here in Halifax is the Boardroom Game Cafe. The Boardroom Game Cafe is located on
Barrington Street.
Exactly. And if you're interested in visiting them, you definitely should. Their in-game Boardroom Game Cafeing is opening up this coming weekend.
I'm doing this because I'm waiting for the banner.
The banner is at the bottom.
Here?
Yep. And we're just waiting for appointments to...
Jamie keeps...
I keep refreshing. I'm like, can I book yet? We're going to be there the first weekend. So if you're in Halifax, you might see us there. Yeah. So we thank you guys so much for watching. If you like what you see, please subscribe. Subscribe to us here at Foster the Meeple. And don't forget to follow us on social media. On Instagram and Twitter, we are at Foster the Meeple. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and share it and all that good stuff. And we hope to see you again soon. And thank you for watching. And now we say goodbye.
Later days.
Goodbye!
I don't like that you copied my thing.
I do what I want.
Blow away with a whistle.
You're not light enough to blow away with a whistle?
I won't interrupt you today.
I appreciate it. Hello everyone and welcome back to... I interrupted myself.
Enter the future.
Exactly.
I don't know what's been up with me. I can't read rightly. Whoa.
Whoa. So we did get the...
I'm just going to leave
It's
her.
not the time for a bath.
Just leave her. While I think the effort was valiant and...
Valiant. I like
yeah,
that
that's
word.
a terrible word to use.
We're crushing it.